the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, we'll wait to pass the spade from the Alliance shirt, but I guess we didn't commit, so if you all like having maybe a moment of silence.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay. Who's first here? Roger, you're first. This way we get the knife bloody right from the beginning. By the way, I came home tonight, it looked great to see the man do all that.
Just finished up.
With the rain, I mean, 'cause I was in Albany and it was pouring. I was like, oh my God, so you gotta
Knocked out all day.
fit, no?
As I said, it was like on a cloud.
Okay.
It's, if there's any question, it's pretty much the traffic that's finished. And we made it through the day with no rain, so. If there's any question, I had to report it.
Anyone have any questions for Roger? No, I want to say thank you, I thank the crew. I mean, did a good job. This is excellent. This is the first time
It's really.
I can ever, I mean, I know you told me, since you've been here, it's the first time that we had all the paving done by June 1st. You know, I think that's an excellent thing. It looks good. You guys did a good job. I appreciate your help.
The only item I need to discuss is, June 11th, the city is, water company, of course, for the water license guys going through, which is four of them. Matt, Ernest, John, and myself. Permission to go to the courts.
You need approval for that?
Second?
Is there a cost to it?
Yep.
What's the cost?
It's $40 for each of them to attend the meeting and $40 each for their fees for the year.
You guys each reduce?
Yep. So it's
$80 piece.
And that's to get our continuing credits to keep the license.
You still make the motion, right? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Also, thanks for getting those flags up, Tim. Thanks for seeing, getting the flags up by Memorial Day.
And
That's
John was a big
Part of my report.
Oh.
Oh.
I don't want to say thanks.
Okay, we're gonna jump to things. Okay, thank you, Raj. Yeah.
You still have them spades.
Bill Brown? Here you go.
Just a couple of things to touch base on tonight. The biogas project, the digester at the wastewater treatment plant, is and continues to be our bigger focus. One of the things going on with that is the consolidated funding applications, which is the avenue we're seeking funding for the project through. Those are gonna be due July 31st. We would ask the board to authorize the mayor to sign the application, once we get it finalized, so we can get that submitted, to.
I'll make that motion that we authorize them to sign the funding application.
I'll second
the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Beyond that, it's in design, we're working on the plan specs, through the spring and summer, and for construction for next year. The other two items on our agenda, a couple of different, other funding tracks that the village applied for. One was the soil and water stream program grants, we'll touch base on the last one. We conducted site visits this past month with the soil and water representatives as part of their review process, and it's still in review. So probably over the next month or so, we should hear from one another on those. Another funding opportunity is through CWC, and that's the Flood Hazard Mitigation Implementation Program. And that's it's tied to the LFA, reports that the Walton Flood Commission, had put together. I think Walton was one of maybe two, that has one completed at this stage. And CWC has a grant program to go towards, putting recommendations that are in those reports, towards implementing those. You know, one of the big items in their report was talking about removing fill on Water Street, you know, to hopefully lower flood elevations. The grant money that CWC has right now, in the first round is due June 1st, so those just went in. Is seeking to move towards implementing, removing the fill from Water Street.
When they do the I guess we were talking about earlier, this occurred to me, when they do the studies about the feeder streams, East Brook, well, do they take into consideration that the Delaware down by the bridge, down, that by Water Street, that'll be, you know, hollowed out, technically speaking?
Oh, you're talking about by the bridge? with
Yeah.
Yeah, that was talked
When they
about.
do the studies on the feeder streams, is it taken into consideration that that work will have been done, or was it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I would expect that they would look at like a before and after. You know, right now it's today's condition, and this is what happens when you get a 100-year flood event. You know, if you do implement these things, if you take fill out of here, if you make this culvert bigger, smaller, you know, this is what, and just branching out. You know, the initial study was along the west branch, and you know, I believe there's a public hearing.
Tomorrow, yeah.
To discuss the next stage, which Steve probably mentioned as well.
If I might interject, that was kind of the whole point of doing the West Branch first,
Okay.
was to get a target to shoot for the feeder streams. So, you know, to kind of answer your question, yeah, that's taken into consideration.
Okay. Any other questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, John Moffett?
And John,
How we going?
Really nothing new to bring up other than,
Thank you.
in the back of each one of these packets are quote for sealing the driveway and patching a couple of potholes at the plant, but I think we should hold off until, number one, the prices are pretty high, so we'd have to put it up a bid anyway, but also with everything going on in construction, if we move ahead, we should wait
Yep.
another year.
Does the city fund any of that, or is that a village fund?
No.
No.
The school press project, the equipment should be delivered on September 20th. That's slated for delivery on that date. The MBT project, which I know you're aware of, Torrey will be here Thursday. Not sure what time.
When you find a time, let me know, I wanna go down.
They're flying in Wednesday evening to the Albany area, so we'll be up after that. And as far as the odor, which is always a huge issue, we're adding calcium nitrate right now to essentially neutralize many of the sulfides. And along with that, you know that we're working on getting the diffusers into the sludge holding tanks, and we're hoping within 3 weeks to have that completed. We ran into a little bit of a, not a snag, just one of the pipes that were delivered later than we anticipated, but still, we're emptying the tanks. We should have that empty by Friday, so we can start Monday, and we should be able to start working on getting the diffusers in. But if it is bad, and again, you can give me a call. The gentleman has some stuff, it's called the sewer sweetener, so that'll make me feel good, that they can add for extra odor protection. But other than that, everything else is good. Your numbers from Sunrise is up considerably. Flow from them.
We're okay.
You okay with that?
Cool. All right, that's all I have.
Anyone have questions for John? Thank you, John, like I said, just let me know what time so I can do that.
Sure.
Thank you.
evening.
Evening.
Anybody got any questions on my report? Did you find yours? Give that back to me. That's my copy. A couple things to add to that report. I got a couple of properties, 3 Griswold Street, 38 North Street, right here on the corner. I've been trying to get rubbish and garbage off of Griswold Street for a while now. It's one of those properties that was foreclosed on by a bank. Sat kind of in limbo for a while. I haven't gotten any cooperation out of the bank or their property manager. So to date, I have issued them a notice of violation for the accumulation of rubbish and garbage. They have 30 days to take care of that. They're probably a week and a half into that 30 days. I don't expect anything's going to be done. Likewise with 38 North Street. Up until about 6 months ago, I could get a hold of the property owner at any given time by telephone and say, hey, you got a problem, and she'd take care of it. Now she's fallen off the planet, apparently. So I sent her a notice of violation. I've tried calling countless times. That notice of violation, that 30 days has expired, so I would like permission from the board to abate those two properties at the appropriate times. 38 North could be done anytime now because their 30-day notice has expired.
What does abate?
That means,
I mean,
hire-
I know what abate was specific to that.
hire a contractor, go in there and remove the
Oh.
garbage.
What was the other location, says 38 North?
3 Griswold.
I'll move that we authorize the code enforcement officer to abate those 2 properties.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
As previously mentioned, we have a public hearing on the tributary LFAs tomorrow at the fire hall, 6:30?
I think I'm-
6:30, I believe it is. So, and that will be the first of at least 3 public interactions regarding the studies on the tributaries. And other than that, I think that's all I got.
Well, I was just gonna bring this up.
Oh, yes, the planning board. Yeah, so last month when we met, the board, gave direction to the planning board to take a look at, section 5313, I believe it is, general business district, kind of clarify that section of code. In the process of that discussion, the planning board thought, because you gotta jump through to whether you make a little bitty change or a great big change, you still have to go through that whole process, hearing and all that kind of stuff. So they thought that, while we were opening that can of worms, we might as well take a look at the bigger picture in terms of zoning. And so, because the scope that they got from you was limited, they're now asking, for your direction in terms of taking a broader look at the zoning code and offering up some suggestions for some changes. One of the primary things that they wanted to do way back when our current zoning regulation was adopted, there was actually a fifth zone that was in the zoning code that never got adopted, and that would be a multi-use zone. So it would be that transition from general business to residential, instead of just going straight from general business to residential. It would be a multi-use where you have some houses, it could be used as a house, or it could be used as a business in that multi-use zone. And that's the problem, that's what kicked this whole thing off to begin with, was a handful of properties. They're by nature houses, but they're sitting in a general business district and have to go through the various process, to use them as a house again, et cetera, et cetera. So, they thought it might be a good idea to revisit that multi-use zone.
for that area.
for that area. Yeah. So they're basically looking for the board's direction, their direction to go ahead and take a look at that. and offer
Do they need a,
suggestions.
like a motion to do that, or just a blessing, or what?
Yeah, well, we should make a motion. I mean, if everybody, if you have any other questions or discussions about it, what do you think? I mean,
What's that?
if everybody clear about what we're talking about.
What's that pertinent area?
Townsend Street?
We're looking at Townsend, Liberty, North Street, to some degree, Griswold Street to some degree.
Will the residents have an opportunity to be heard on this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to have a public hearing.
I foresee it as the planning board would take a look at this and, you know, if they could, because the language is already there. Like I said, the whole thing was drafted for multi-use. I think the only difference would be, maybe changing the zone from what they had before, or the area that the multi-use zone would be in, because it was a much larger scope when they first discussed it. It was actually over on Stockton Avenue and some other places.
I think
So-
years and years ago, we had, you know, houses being used as business, craft shops, tax service,
Right.
scattered, and it was this hodgepodge, and they came up with some lines to capture as much of that. I don't remember what happened, maybe nothing, what happened after that, but,
Well, basically, that multi-use section essentially got scrapped.
I think we got into a debate of, you know, sure, right now, what if the house gets sold, the next guy wants to, you know, and it turned
Yeah.
into a nightmare of a discussion, some years back.
I mean, ultimately, I think the zoning document should be a living document. It should be something that is revisited, based on what the village needs at every time, so. So, yeah, I mean, that's,
And the zoning board, at the last zoning board meeting, they also agreed that it was probably time to take a look at that section.
I think it's wise for them to take a look at it, very gracious for them to volunteer to do that.
Make them, don't go ahead.
to more directly answer your question, yes, I mean, ultimately, I foresee this project, the process as they come up with something, they're gonna propose it to the village board, because ultimately you guys have to say so. If that's something that you wanna move forward with, then it has to go to public hearing in order to, be adopted, so.
So it'd be like open law.
I think it'd be short-sighted on our part if we didn't at least take a look at it and see what changes would be involved in it, and how it would affect development, see, you know, if it'll know how it would fit into what the current time.
And I don't know why the planning board couldn't, I mean, if they came up with a zone in the regulations for that multi-use zone, and then have some public input at that point before it comes to this board.
That would be good, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
I'll make a motion that we, with gratitude, agree to or approve the
Want a second on that?
request.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Now I think that's it.
I think that's it, yeah. Thank you, Steve, I appreciate it. Chief?
Hi, Chief, and welcome.
He's back.
Welcome back to us.
And he smiles.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
That was from Chucky, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you all for allowing me to come back.
Thank you for accepting to come back and.
You really wanted to say that. Turn on the first one.
So, I mean, if I thought it was going to exceed.
Haven't been back long enough to have a lot.
Before you go, I want to talk about the jumpsuit, so just.
Okay. Before I leave for the day.
No, before you leave the table.
You never really leave.
No, no, I found that. That's our monthly report. The calls are on the uprise because of the summer months. And Mrs. O'Leary was in there the other day and got a good look at what it looks like in there.
What has happened?
We need a revolving door, I think. New car's in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Butch happened to notice what appears to be some damage that must have occurred during transport. So Butch and Roger are in the process of working on that. talks with the company that sold it to us, and hopefully we can come to some sort of mutual agreement, or they'll take their car back or something of that nature. But right now, it looks like there's gonna be some sort of an agreement, is kind of what we're feeling, to make amends for the damage that's there.
Sure. We didn't buy a used car, we bought a new car.
Yes, we did. I think there's 237 miles out there or something.
Yeah.
Mrs. O'Leary had approached us and asked us to look at restriking the new car in a different manner. And I assigned our new patrolman that task, and he came through. As a matter of fact, he handed it to me just before the meeting. So, what we're hoping to do is pretty much that scheme, but with that, the patch would be the patch that you're asking for, sure. With that, Holden has found a company decal design or product which comes in during the day as a light gray, not really highly visible, but at night becomes extremely illuminated by light.
I don't
So it
understand,
would-
you wouldn't be able to see it during the day?
No, you'll see it, but it shows as a light, and then the reflective quality is amazing.
Oh,
So it jumps right out at you at night. So that's kind of what we're hoping to go along with. He's also spoke with Dave Gross, who does our striping for us, and he has agreed to come in at the same cost of the regular striping anyways.
Oh,
So
That's
that's pretty
nice.
good for a brand new patrol.
Yep.
First task,
Good job.
yeah.
nailed it.
I'm gonna ask some questions.
Sure.
And maybe I should
Hopefully, I
ask
was
them
just
both.
gonna say, we should ask Holden.
On the back, does it have 911 or DWI, or is there anything written on the back of the car?
Like on the back of the trunk area, like the back bumper, we were thinking, Walton Police and then the car number on the
Okay.
back, and then on the back quarter panels on the sides, and we're gonna have emergency 911 spelled
Yeah,
out,
that's really
Okay.
easy.
and then, police and then Village of Walton on the sides with the car number and the patch.
Nice, very nice, thank you.
And it's in the same cost for some reason.
Yeah, great.
Yes. Good Judy knows it.
You get like in the corner, designed by or anything?
Oh, no, he gets to drive it. All night long, every night.
At some point, you'll get back to us with the cost of it as well.
Yes, actually, the cost of, what did he say, Holden, it
He
was,
said for the previous cars, he quoted us $550 for the car.
so, and this is supposedly gonna remain the same. So we'll verify that, of course,
Because we can't do anything until we find out.
what's going on with the damage.
Mhm.
Right.
Is it not usable till we get the?
You know, Dave, I don't think we wanna use it until.
No.
Yeah, yeah, it's setting in it's setting in our garage, it's beautiful, but Roger feels that there's been some sort of damage to it, potentially, yeah, so we're just gonna kind of hold for a little bit
Makes sense. Yep.
so we can verify that or get some sort of restitution for that. Almost immediately upon coming into office, I got tasked with some speed problems on Marvin and South Street, which we've focused on pretty
Probably
good.
gonna get worse now.
Well, that's
Yeah, now we got
It'll be
the,
quieter, you won't
now
know.
that it's been paved,
patrol, they have a hard time over on Marvin because there's just nowhere to really set. But they've had speeds, the low speed's been 13, the high speed's been 36, they've sit over there 2 or 3 times.
36 over?
No,
Oh.
36 total.
Oh.
And that I think is part of what the problem is 36 on Marvin Avenue looks like 136. South Street's a little different, they spent quite a bit of time out on South Street and they had a low of 50 and a high of 40, and that's before it was paved, and they paved it today. So we're gonna stay there. And we'll go back to Marvin.
bless you.
You know, the guys, if the call volume allows, they're out there doing both of them, they're trying to do both of them. So, they'll be there.
Thank
Well,
you.
we appreciate it, yeah.
Really, the only other thing that I had before you start reading letters, I think, is, 2 things. Firearms. I gotta get firearms, and it's mandated by the state, we gotta do it once a year, and it takes a lot of work to get to it, it takes money to get to it. So we're probably gonna end up generating some overtime on that and costs of ammo. So, and we're gonna try to get everybody in 1 or 2 sessions and just get it done.
Okay, the ammo's not a problem, but try and keep that overtime like non-existent would be perfect.
Well, it would be perfect, but I don't know if I can do that. I mean, I did pull one off here today, actually, I got lucky. I'd like permission, if I could, to send Chris Early to a law updates class down in Binghamton, down in Broome.
On what?
Law updates class. Annually, I used to attend it for the department. Annually, there's a law updates class that's put on by chief of police. And it goes through well, not every, but any pertinent law change that applies to penal law, vehicle and traffic, and criminal procedure law. So by sending Chris, it won't cost us anything because I'll make it his normal shift. And he can come back and brief us all on everything, and he's good at that.
And when is that?
That's the 24th of June,
And the cost of that?
0.
This is nice, and it's
Almost.
mileage.
Yeah, it would be mileage on the vehicle,
Yeah.
yeah. And maybe a lunch, depending on how long they run it. He doesn't eat a lot.
I would make a motion that we allow,
One motion at a time.
Yeah, one motion at a time.
Everybody's
Is there
going,
another one?
motion.
oh,
Teresa
I
made the
didn't
mo-
hear anything, so.
Teresa made the motion, need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah.
Right. Now, before you leave, I got two things. The first thing, I'm gonna read a letter. Put on my mature glasses so I can read good. Dear Mayor Snow, I am addressing this letter to you in hopes you will present this to the committee at the next monthly meeting. I had attended many meetings in the past, which were during the last mayor's administration, and requested that the village of Walton establish a noise ordinance. I feel that this request was ignored since no one ever got back to me with an answer. My husband and I are senior citizens and purchased our home here in Walton in 2007 in a senior community complex called Sheffield Estates. At the time we moved in, there was just empty property behind our home, so there was no reason for us to question as to whether there would be any commercial business built on that property. After living here for 1 year, a restaurant and bar called West 38 opened, and the noise was horrendous. We had to put up with loud DJ music and crowds of young people on the deck screaming until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday evenings. It took approximately 3 to 4 years to finally close down. A business was reopened again, a nice restaurant called Feather and Stone, and once again, the noise continues. The DJ starts at 10 and ends at 2 a.m. Most of the time, the noise continues and ends between 3 and 4 a.m. on weekends. My husband is severely ill and noise is not helping us out. We pay our taxes on time, and I feel it's unfair that we should have to deal again with this situation. I would appreciate it if you would look into this matter by creating a noise ordinance in the village, and it would also be excellent effort in bringing this beautiful town back to where it once was. Thank you in advance, Evelyn Anderson. I spoke to the chief about this already. Benji, I'll let you go take it.
Mayor, this is the second time that we've addressed this since I came back. The first time I went to Featherstone and spoke to Tara Jameson, who, after we talked about it for a moment, very, very cooperative. She said that there were a set of outdoor speakers on the back patio, which actually faces the Andersons' residence. To eliminate that problem, they actually shut down the speakers. They don't use them. So we thought that was gonna be the answer. Apparently, over the weekend, they had a band in there, which was relatively loud. It was warm. They opened the back doors. When the back doors opened, it followed the noise, again, right towards the Andersons' home. So today, a patrol went over and spoke to Nate Jameson, and Nate told him that at any point there is a band there, from this point on, that they will keep the doors and windows closed. I really feel Featherstone's trying. I
No.
really do.
I think they are too. I mean,
And it's just an unfortunate situation, it really is. It's a tough, tough situation.
There may be some way to put a sound barrier out behind there.
We discussed that, actually. I discussed that
Because
with
I-
other people.
As far as noise ordinances, I mean, we should be able to control it without making it a law.
well, yeah, I agree with you. Both sides have a valid point, you know,
Right.
I mean, it is basically a commercial district. And when that house, when those things were built, they got a variance to allow them there. And so they're both right in their own way of thinking, so
Right.
I know that the Jamesons, they were good.
They're
They've been
fantastic both
excellent.
times.
I have no problem with them at all.
Fantastic.
And maybe if we can do with some kind of sound barrier, I think that might be,
Do
I
you
know
want me to approach the Jamesons on that, or is that on the Andersons, or, I mean, how?
Well, it wouldn't be the Andersons, would it? Wouldn't be the developer there?
Well, I don't know the status of that area now, I'm not sure.
I think that the John McIntyre and his group is what owns that property. I think where the fence is behind their house, that's where it ends. All the way from there back onto it belongs to the Bob Biddy and.
Yeah, 38 West.
38 West, so if that kind of wall would be put up, or barrier, whatever you wanna call it, it would be put on Bob Biddy's property.
Beyond there, yeah, I would say so too.
Right, you know what I mean?
Is that something that you want our agency to handle, or code enforcement, or to speak or suggest? I don't know.
I don't know who that would, what, I don't think that's a police issue.
No.
I don't know, Steve, would that fall maybe on something that you could ask about?
I don't have a problem asking about it, but I just.
I don't think it's a code, it's not a code violation.
It's not a code, there's nothing under the code that's
It's almost
gonna
like an ambulance.
give me any.
Yeah, and I don't wanna go in there like with the board is coming down and, you know, what I mean, I'd rather be, by the way, what do you think, is this something that's possible?
Right. I mean, they've been very cooperative.
No, I know they are, and,
Well, I hate tabling things, but would it be wise to wait and see if keeping the doors closed is enough? And if it is, there's your sound barrier. If not, then we need, whether it's a village ombudsman type function or a heart-to-heart with the owners or the Andersons,
well,
something.
if they leave the door shut, it might be a big fix on it. If not, and we speak to Mrs. Anderson, and she says that it's still loud, then one of us can just ask Bob, so listen, we have an issue, what do you think? Bob's really good with us, and Bob has been excellent. I'm sure that he will work with us on it.
Can somebody make sure they get back to Mrs. Anderson?
I will send her something.
Based on that, and I heard what you just said, Tim, I contacted the IPD. They do have a village noise ordinance, if that's some way that the board ends up deciding to go.
But that has a lot to do with college.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But I just thought that potentially someplace that we may be going with that, so.
I appreciate you doing it. This is something as a last, absolutely nothing else is working, kind of resort, we need to think of something like that. But, I appreciate you looking into it.
There's already laws on the books, I think, of the
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
piece,
Disorderly conduct, actually, is why
The next thing, well, you're here, welcome back. As we had a conversation this morning, you and I, we had an issue with our judge and our alternate judge resigning.
Yes.
We now have Judge Yvonne Pagillo from Courtright, who has offered her help to do us here in Walton, along with her court and to do us. Of course, the issue is now that when we need someone for arraignment at nighttime, she's a half hour, 45 minutes away. 45 minutes away. So it's tough for her to come in. She had saw me tonight and said that she'd be willing to work with us on it, but she would like to have reimbursement for mileage. And she has to come in at late night like that, because that's not her. It's not, technically, I mean, you normally, we have the alternate judge that would come in and take care of things like this. But she's an hour away. She said it's allowed in the judge system to do something like that, but she just wanted to bring it up to us.
Conceptually, I don't have a problem with it, but I have no idea if we use the judge one night a week or 5 nights a week, and, you know, over the course of a month, or what the average out, or, you know,
Of course, it's random.
Sure.
You never know what's gonna happen. But through the summer months, and especially on weekends, Yeah, we move on. There are certain things that we just absolutely have to make arrangements on.
Sure.
You know, victims requesting orders of protection and, you know, things of that nature.
Significant stuff.
We really have to protect.
Sort of over barrel, right?
Well, then you're gonna have to figure out where you're gonna take the money from, because you didn't budget for that. So, if we're gonna take it to give it to them, then we gotta figure out where you're taking it from.
The salary for the judge, is that paid by the district because she's an interim?
No,
By the-
no,
That
no.
will still be paying
It
that?
comes out a lot.
Nice idea, though.
I can pass it on
Always
to the
worth a
state.
try.
Well, let me ask you this, we had in the budget X amount of dollars for the judge, and we had X amount of dollars for the alternate, correct? With the new judge, we're going to pay the salary and for a full-time judge. Still leaves us a little bit
$2,000,
extra.
just $2,000.
Well, I know it could cover us for a while, provided that it's not crazy. I know, I mean, I don't know how much the mileage would be each time, I mean, would it be like
About
$30?
$33.
About $33. So, I mean, if you did it once or twice a week, it's not gonna be a big thing. If you're doing it 5 times a week, then it's gonna add up. I guess we could try and see how it works out.
Again, there, we have no control. I mean,
No, I
you know,
understand that, I know that, I know
there's
you
times we
can't,
just can't not arrange.
no. If you can't, you can't, you gotta do what you have to do.
Right.
You think that Judge Merrill might, once in a while, if we don't keep making a habit of it, that,
We've,
I know he's
Poor
been,
Judge
he's been
Abell.
really helpful, we
Judge
appreciate
Abell
it.
has just, he's taken a beating, he really has. He has picked up so much slack for us over this, just since I've been back. And,
So if
we
we
owe
can
him
we
a
can
lot
do
of
this
gratitude.
most of the time and then once in a while, then
Yep.
maybe I think you'll be okay with that.
Yes,
Just as long as you don't abuse it.
right. We have, our officers are pretty sensible that way. A lot of times they'll call me or they'll call a DA before they proceed in something that looks like a raid.
Well, I suggest that we can try and see how it works out, and then we'll take it from there, we try it on a
We have to
basis.
revisit it.
Yeah. Do we need a motion for that?
Motion. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And last and final thing, you were
Sure.
gonna do
You want me to do the honors? or-
the, absolutely, you're the chief, you should.
Sure. Holden, you wanna step up here? I'd like everybody to meet Holden Gray. He's our newest patrolman effective today.
Welcome, yes.
I can tell you that.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Welcome, condolences. No.
Yeah. I can tell you that Holden can run because I used to be his varsity soccer coach. And we can run.
Yeah.
We can run until we puke.
So, and you're already somewhat familiar because you've been working for the village part-time, correct?
Yep, and I also grew up and graduated from here,
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for staying.
Oh, no problem.
I saw him that one day, I remember, oh God, about a month and a half ago, he was over by the school, we had a lot of traffic, and he was over there, and I said, boy, a brave young lad. And he was just calm, and just doing what he had to do, and I said, all right, he's gonna do okay.
He's gonna be okay.
He's gonna be okay.
So, thank
Well,
you.
thank you, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
He was actually there not long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't long, that's a scary part, yeah.
Doesn't seem long ago.
And with that being said,
Good luck.
thank you.
All right.
I'd like to thank the board for that hire. It's made a huge difference in scheduling already. We've already gone down to 2 open shifts for the month versus over 10. So it's made a huge difference. It's gonna be beneficial to the officers who are gonna actually get some rest. The village financially need for not pulling the rest of my hair out during school.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, next. Eileen Schultz.
Come bearing gifts again.
Yay.
I brought more than one. So you don't have to,
That's one way to make people look forward to
oh
seeing
yeah,
that.
you don't have to, fight over. I just wanted to, give everyone a little bit more information about Girl Scouts. And, I'm really just here tonight to kind of try to cultivate a relationship with the town of Walton. We had put in for a permit to rent Austin Lincoln Park so we could run a little kind of day camp at night, if you will. I'm not sure if that had been approved or not yet.
Yes,
Did we-
yes, we
was
did that
okay.
already.
So I appreciate that very much, thank you. That's a great way for us to keep the cost down for the girls. But I just wanted to, I guess, approach the board about building collaborations or partnerships, keeping us in mind. We're always looking for volunteers, not that I'm asking you to volunteer, but we welcome all volunteers. We are volunteer driven. But mainly I just want the leadership of the town of Walton to keep us in mind. If you know of people that would make a good volunteer, not necessarily running troops, but we're always looking for someone to maybe run a program, share your skills that you have, your special talents, maybe do a one-time thing, that type of thing. So, a lot of employers do ask that their employees do volunteer work, so it's something to keep in mind. So I just wanted a couple minutes of your time just to put Girl Scouts on your radar and,
How big an area do you cover, and how active or established is Girl Scouting in Walton?
we have about 75 girls in Walton right now.
Really?
Right, yeah, that's actually down. We used to have about 100
Okay.
a few years back, and it's gone down. It's a little bit up this year, but I'm really trying to build it up, so that's why I thought I had a meeting with Mayor Snow and Deputy Mayor O'Leary, and we had a good conversation, and we thought maybe if I had come and, spoke with the board and just kind of get more visual in the town. But I cover Delaware and Otsego County, and I also work out of the Johnson City office. We have an office down there that I go to twice a week, and I'm out in the community the other 2.5 days or working from my home office. So
What's the age range for Girl Scouts?
kindergarten through 12th grade.
Kindergarten?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, there are little daisies that we call them, so we start them out as young as we can, and
There's a cutoff between daisies and brownies.
daisies are kindergarten and first, and brownies are second and third. And then juniors are fourth and fifth.
Awesome.
Okay, I think that's about it, just keep us in mind if you
The
have.
older girls do some quite amazing things.
Yeah,
I'm
we
Sarah, I work
have,
for the Girl Scouts too, I'm on Eileen's team, and our older girls, just to kind of chime in, they do amazing things, and they're working their Gold Award projects, and do like amazing community service, and go to Ireland, and fabulous things, opportunities. We had, some girls from Afton just go to London last summer. How cool is that?
Making
Yeah.
money
That's a
and
cool
stuff like
opportunity
that,
for
Yeah,
them.
that's very good.
Yeah, there's a thing in there about STEM programming that, if somebody has STEM background, I'm sorry.
If a girl's interested in joining Girl Scouts, how do they contact you?
They can call me, I have my card, and it is in the packet also. So,
And how many troops are there?
in Walton, there are 6, I think, right now. Yep, there's a Daisy troop, a Brownie. I think we have just about one at every level. And, senior ambassador cadet.
Yeah, I know, I just did a letter for one of the girls that have the gold award,
Right, you had mentioned that when, Cheyenne,
Cheyenne.
yeah, Belfer. Yeah, she's been working on that for a while, so, yeah.
When?
Now, are you all set with your camp? Have you done signups and you have enough people? And
There, I do need, actually, since you mentioned it, I do, for the thing that I'm doing at Austin Lincoln, I do need volunteers for that. I'm actually looking for artists. We're kind of doing Arts in the Park theme this year. So if anyone knows any artists that would be willing to donate a couple hours one night, the week of, we did July 7, 8, and 9, I think was the date that we're doing it. So it's gonna be from 6 until 7:30, so I just am looking for someone with an artistic background to maybe come and teach the girls how to paint, something like that.
And is this camp for girls who are already Girl Scouts or girls who are interested in joining Girl Scouts?
All girls, both new and existing. It's kind of a recruitment, it's kind of geared towards recruiting new girls, but existing members are absolutely welcome to come.
Okay, and if a girl was interested in doing this again, they would give you a call?
Yeah.
Okay.
Girl Scouts used to have a camp up in Cooperstown. Where's the Girl Scout camp now?
Actually, that camp is no more. It doesn't belong to, I think that was a service unit. Cooperstown is a service unit, owned that camp, or maybe someone might have leased it to them, I'm not sure. We have camp in, out in Sanford Deposit area, which is Amahami. We've had that camp for 75 or 80 years.
A lot of years.
Yeah, yeah, and we also have one up in Watertown, area by the, is it above Watertown?
Yeah, Jefferson County.
And we have one on Cayuga Lake, in Ithaca, and,
So lots of opportunities for
Yes,
girls
lots
if they want, or family want, to give their daughter a chance to go away for.
absolutely.
Especially in Delaware County, there's a lot of camperships available for
Yeah, there
girls
are
in Delaware County.
campership funds that they can apply for, specifically to Delaware County, which,
So Eileen, before you go, maybe you can give the reporter, your card with the phone number, and she can include it.
Absolutely.
What
flavor cookies would you like?
That works.
Was this one,
That works, that
was
works.
yours? I think you were Samoa, or was that you?
We can be bought.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, right? I can do that.
Come back.
I even have a gluten-free. Anybody have a gluten?
Nobody else does, I will.
Yeah, you'll take the gluten?
Well, I have more of them.
There's a peanut butter patty, and here's a peanut butter sandwich. Here's a trefoil, and a Samoa. Now, that's not enough for everybody, so let me, oops, and Thin Mints are the very popular ones, so I might as well.
I know we might have.
Oh, I can just leave a box here.
Don't be shy, Tank.
Eileen, they want a box back here?
I have one box of Samoas
There you go,
left.
you guys can all share this.
Give the chief of carriage a go.
Oh, okay. I can do that. I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I didn't use my card. Yes, Thin Mints.
We're here the first Monday of every.
I can do that.
We can't go any further, everybody's eating. So.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, the next section we have public input. During public input, we just ask you to give your name and give you a few minutes to talk. Pam, you wanna go first?
I'm Pam Groutman, and this is Laura Cosmano, and we're from the Pride and Walton Committee. And we're here tonight to ask if the board would enact a tire code for businesses and homeowners to set a limit as to how many tires they can have on their property.
Tires?
Tires. This past Saturday, our 4-H club in the Pride in Walton cleaned up the knotweed, and as we looked over at the Stanton's garage, I'm gonna use them as an example, there has to be 25 to 30 tires behind the building. And it's a disgrace coming into Walton to have to look at that. So we'd like to know if we could have some kind of code enacted to set a limit as to how many tires people can accumulate on the property.
That's something we would have to speak to our code enforcement.
Yeah, the first thing that, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, but the first thing that comes to mind is that the dump, the landfill, I should say, only accepts so many tires per week, per
They accept
individual.
15 tires per day, because we took them from Tom's Tire Barn. I called to check it out.
And so that was, that was one of the issues that I was actually with Tom's Tire Barn running into in the past, because they had so many there. And they will put a limit on that on occasion, depending on, you know, how active it is. You know, they will actually pare it back to per month on occasion when they're getting too many tires in, so.
You don't have anything on the books currently, Steve, that would
Well,
address that?
there's,
Something new?
and I have gone around to businesses, you know, specifically garages, and spoke with them in the past about tires and bumpers and bumper covers and all that kind of stuff that might accumulate at a garage. have spoken with him in the past about, keeping things picked up to a degree. I mean, it's understandable if you're operating your garage, you're gonna have a little bit of stuff there. So, I don't have a problem going around and doing that again. I don't know that there necessarily needs to be a law to make that happen.
So right now, there is no code for tires in Walton, in the village.
If you want to stretch it, an accumulation of rubbish, but there again, I mean, we're talking about the business, and the business is specifically, the nature of their business is exchanging car parts and doing that sort of thing.
How about having a fence that nobody can see it, if
Well,
it's a business?
I mean, from a code perspective, that really doesn't take care of the bigger issue, which is, the problem with things like having spare tires or extra tires laying around. They accumulate water, which attracts mosquitoes, that sort of a thing. And that's kind of where the code is driven from. It's not necessarily, oh, that looks unsightly, it can be unsanitary. So,
Has the Pride Committee approached any of the property owners to see if they would?
My
come to a
husband and another committee member were going to go to and talk to Dave. But we decided we'd come to the village board
Yeah,
first.
I don't know if it's a pride committee, because I'm the liaison with the pride committee, and knowing how they got started and the kind of work they're doing now, which is win-win for the village, I think that's a little outside what we were hoping the pride
That's not a
committee
pride
would be.
committee's job.
I mean, bring it to our
Right.
attention, but as far as having you guys.
That's
be
why I was
the-
here, to see whether or
Yeah.
not the planning committee could enact some kind of code.
you know.
Steve, is there a limit to how many tires you can take to the dump?
Yeah, 15 tires a
15 you
day.
said?
Per day.
Okay,
But now, are there times where they're backed up and can't take tires?
yes, she told me that there would be,
Okay.
so you'd have
I'm
to
not-
call ahead.
I'm just trying to get.
Because they have a big tractor trailer and you have to
Right.
take them in and stack them.
I know when we had tires stacked up, I always had to call beforehand
Right.
to make sure that they could take,
Mhm.
is the thing. Instead of losing, bring them back and dump them.
Steve, do you think that you could at least ask them about, maybe they could get rid of them? Or maybe it's just a matter of fact of them keeping them inside and not just throwing them all over the backyard, and they're out of
there
sight
again,
too.
we don't want to put a fire load inside of a building either.
Okay, so then they need to get,
Right.
But you're right, I mean, the mosquito thing is, there's a number of, it sounds silly, but you get from the state DEC, and every year you get the emails, whatever, depending on what list you're on, about the water that pools up, and it doesn't have to be old, any kind of a tire, anything like that, it doesn't have to be but a cup of water for mosquitoes to breed in.
Right, and like I said, I mean, when I went around to those particular businesses last year, I got really good response. I just said, hey, look, we need to clean this stuff up and.
why don't we try this way?
respond.
Why don't we let Steve go to the businesses involved, the locations involved with the tires are, and let him just talk to them and see how they respond. If he gets a lot of kickback, not wanting it, then we can address it by doing something on the books. You know what I mean? I think that would be the fair way of doing it.
Be a start.
And then if they didn't wanna do it, then, well, here's why we're doing this now, is because you refuse to clean them up. So therefore, you're forcing our hand to make a law. So, the law is, to me, the last thing I'd wanna do. They should respond, knowing that this is being brought up at a meeting. And I think that they probably will. So,
See, it's tricky too, because say if they only take 15 tires a day, I mean, if you change, say Booner or somebody in Downton, changing tires, 4 cars, that's 16 tires, right, in one day, and that's probably not unheard of. And if you say you set a 10 or 16 tire limit, my guess is, just because they're not gonna wanna take the time to run to the dump every day with a bunch of tires, because, he doesn't have any help down there, it's just him, as far as I know. It's out of his day to go do that, he'll have to do it during the day.
Booner has a guy pick them up.
Oh, it does, okay. And then, say you say 15 tires, so 12 are okay, and you run the risk of always having 12 tires. It's sort of an odd, we have to come up with some way, so if the limit is 15, we don't always end up with 14 tires out there. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I figured just 4, because the car has 4 tires, that's it, you know?
But if you did this a couple times a week, it probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have this accumulation at all.
How many tires are down there?
I would say between 25 and 30 maybe.
It was a couple trips,
Yeah.
couple days.
Mhm.
So I suggest that we try that way first, and Steve, you can do that, would you do that?
Yeah, I'll go make my rounds again.
Okay. Is that acceptable for now, and if it doesn't work, then
No,
we'll
that
address
sounds
it
good.
again at the board level. I always try to go the friendly approach first,
Yeah.
and, you know, you always get more with honey, right? Than vinegar, so.
Been with the sting of the bee.
Yeah.
And one other thing,
Sure.
we were just wondering whether or not something could be put into the local paper to the effect that if people paint their houses, that their taxes won't go up, or if they stain something, the taxes won't go up.
You know, that comes up at least twice a year, and no matter what, for
And
sure,
people don't
well, it's
understand.
up to Lillian, but I don't know where it even got started, but I'll bet you twice a year it comes up here, either at a meeting or on the street somewhere, that, well, if I paint my house, my taxes are gonna go through, but it won't go away.
Right.
Well, we
That'd really be
talked,
appropriate for the assessor to address and bring to the paper instead of the village board, though.
But it's not, we even checked with the assessor, and it's not the
It's not
case.
true. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But people don't understand that. I
You
don't
put an
know.
addition on, you put a porch on, you put
Right.
things like that.
A shed
that
in your
affects the
yard.
Yeah,
Right.
a shed in your yard, that affects the value of your property. If you paint it, you clean it up, or do things like that, it's not gonna affect the
It
value.
may be an easy excuse for not buying paint, I don't know, but it won't go away, just no matter what, yeah.
I'll speak to Mark Jacobs on it.
Okay.
Anything else? Yeah, no, I'm not forgetting, I was just making sure that. Yes, Maureen, go ahead.
A couple of things for the chamber. The gazebo at Bassett Park, I have been eagerly monitoring the progress, and I'm so happy to see it apparently is just about finished. All that appears to remain is the shingles on the roof and the installation of the cupola. So, with that almost finished, I'm sure you all know that the Chamber's donation to this community project is the American flag and the flagpole. So I'm here to ask, what is the timetable for installation of that flagpole? The village crew had offered to do that. And, when you spend $1,200 on a gift, you get kinda anxious to see it.
Well, to the best of my recollection, when Roger and I had a conversation about it, the flag was not gonna go up until we made sure the gazebo was done, and we pulled the other one down.
What's the rationale for waiting?
Well, I don't think, where were we talking about putting the flag, do you remember?
No, that's pretty much all we need is the next commercial spot.
the last discussion when we were all down there
Yeah,
was that we
we
wanted
did have a
to,
discussion, okay.
we wanted to make sort of a monument kind of a thing of the flagpole, not just stick it on the corner of the gazebo. And we thought that where the old gazebo is sort of central.
Well, I agree,
So-
because there are no trees around there. When you look at where the trees are, and this flagpole is 25 feet tall, you wouldn't want the flag to be tangled into the limbs of the trees. So I think you and I had talked where that huge, it looks like a bird bath filled with flowers. Directly behind that is the old gazebo. And I agree, that would be a perfect spot. But I don't understand why the flagpole can't be installed until the old gazebo is leveled and removed.
There's a risk that taking the old gazebo down, you could damage the flagpole, or it could hinder the men working on it. I think that's part of the reason. We want to make sure that, because the chambers kindly put so much money into it.
Roger, we think that old gazebo, we're gonna have to have the front loader down and everything to, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna just tear it down, yep. Front loader, dump trucks to haul it out.
What are we talking about putting it on eBay?
Huh?
What Weren't we talking about putting the old gazebo on eBay? Or
I
something
haven't
like
heard
that?
that
I
one.
didn't hear that one either.
I know, I was talking to
Yes.
somebody, not myself.
Wake up, nobody listening.
So can you give me an idea of the timetable to remove the old gazebo so that the flagpole can be
We
installed?
can't do that until the new gazebo is finished. Didn't you say we need to finish the new gazebo, except for the roof? Or-
No, well, I said that's the progress that I saw,
Okay.
that was all that remains, but I don't see any connection between the progress of the new gazebo and the removal of the rotten one.
We also don't know where the stonework's gonna be, the paving stones that folks have donated to go around that. And until that's in place, the new gazebo's done, the stones are in place, so that again, we don't run a risk of
Okay,
getting.
go ahead, Roger.
And Kate, do you know anything about the electric? There has to be some digging.
No, that's gotta be accomplished.
Anybody mention anywhere that's at, or what we're doing with it, or who's doing it?
You know, gotta be an anchor there, or, you know, we gotta run triplex, the light company's gotta come in.
Because this flag also came with a light, so we're gonna have to, arrange for some
Well, you're
power
not
for the
gonna-
light also, so this is all
What
gonna
kind of
be.
light has it got?
We
The
have
one
a light
that's on
over
the
here.
ground?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right.
The only thing I have against that is people.
Yeah.
So it looks like we don't have a
Couldn't come up with
timetable.
a solar or anything?
All I know is the day the flag came, there was a light, a box with a light in it. I've never opened it up to see exactly what brand it is or what style, but, I mean, these are something, I really haven't been involved with the gazebo at all, and except for getting the foundation done, and I don't really know where.
Well, as
it is at
everybody
this
knows,
point
if
in
you got
time.
a light, there's one on the ground, like that flag, you're gonna have to run wires from somewhere.
Well, that's what, and I don't know where the electric is, so we're gonna have to do all that.
Where it actually
Everything belongs.
I'm not really sure where it's gonna end up yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure who to ask for, I mean, is it the board or who's
About what, putting the electric in?
the electric and,
Isn't there a place back there where there's electric now?
yeah, but it's gotta be extended to the new gazebo.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you're gonna have to extend it to wherever, somewhere within the flagpole.
See,
Well,
it's
it's
not
not
that-
far from where it is now that we're gonna put the flag on the
It's not
stake.
that simple. The pole that's back there now feeding the old gazebo,
Correct.
we're gonna replace the triplex coming to the pole near it. Because there's only one pin coming from that pole, the pole by the gazebo,
Okay.
and it'll probably end up, has that got an anchor on it? Must have.
I believe so, yeah.
And then, you know, you gotta apply for the permit, so forth and so on, go through all that.
Tremendously.
And, you're gonna have to put another service on that pole. We're not gonna use the old service back there.
Okay. So I guess, what is the next process we have to do? Find out when it's gonna be completed, the gazebo,
Right.
with the stones and the bricks and everything, before we take down the old one. And you can't use the
That's
new
what
one right
we
now,
said,
correct?
right?
The electric
I mean,
on
that's
right
what
now
we
is
said.
still up to the old gazebo, so then none of that's been touched, so.
Right.
the electric-
So as of right now, the old gazebo still has the electric and everything that we need. So,
And I think that's why they decided not to take the old one down for like concerts, and the church is gonna be over there.
Right.
just in case.
So until everything gets switched, they needed the other one for if people wanted to use it.
I had asked Steve earlier if the old gazebo, the floor was safe enough to have 4 or 5 musicians and equipment there, and Steve was gonna take a look at it.
Okay.
Which brings me up to the next subject, which is this is the 3rd year that the chamber will be sponsoring the concerts in the park,
Okay.
which residents love them. We've been averaging 100 or more residents for each concert. The next one is Monday, June 15th, 6:30 to 8:30.
June 15th.
And the last thing is the Chamber's Information Center, which we turned over to the village. We had a couple of complaints about muddy walkway from the information center to the road. So I'm just here to say it's been corrected. We put in a bluestone path last week, so
Thank you.
problem solved.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well,
Anyone else care to say anything in public comment? Thank you very much. Trustee reports, we'll start with you.
Me?
Yes.
Everybody got the notice of new hires for the summer program? For a mower, mowing sub, and a tennis instructor, and the amounts there. And I would make a motion to okay hiring them. They will begin on the 26th of June.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then, Candy Russell, Heather Ogden, Lauren Jones will start on June 3rd to get the program ready for swim lessons, get the whole process of swim sign-ups ready ahead of time. And, basketball, tennis, and arts and crafts begin on June 29th. And we need a motion for Brian to make the purchases for the paint and the strainer. Is that correct, Judy? So I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And, there's one matter that, has to do with personnel, and I would ask that we can speak about that in, executive session.
Okay.
And that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Charlie?
I have nothing.
Pam brought us up to speed on the Pride Committee. They did a lot of work over the weekend, clearing out some knotweed. And
Looks very
Molly
nice.
Oliver, the county planner, has taken another position and won't be part of the committee's work anymore, and she was instrumental in really getting a sort of some momentum established after a slow start. So I believe they're looking to see if there's another individual that would be able to replace her when she's replaced, so hopefully have more on that in the next month or so. That's it.
It does look very nice, where you took all that knotweed down,
Thank you.
thank you, it really did look.
And it's
A
a,
lot of
Cleared it up so
sweat.
much.
it's a
Yeah.
profoundly
Yeah, thank you.
tenacious plant. I mean,
Oh,
you're talking about a several-year project, keeping that knocked down. It is tenacious. DEC have all these procedures to not put it near a river so it doesn't spread. I mean, it's unbelievable what that plant can do.
It does look excellent, and I thank Roger and his crew. They're gonna take all the bags and take them down to the landfill and grind up the rest of the stuff.
We might use those witches
Yeah,
right there.
Greg told me that if they grind them up and leave all the stuff there, that he'll distribute them all in the area. So I wanna thank Roger and the crew for doing that. That's-
And thank you for your help too.
I always say you lead through example, everybody does what he's supposed to do. Okay, King.
Yeah, I would like to thank Roger and his crew for the fine work that he's done. And I mean, they've worked hard at it and worked together. But I also would like to thank, the Walton Veterans Club for donating flags to the bridge and the help through the DPW, putting them up, so forth and so on.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you, they
very
look
good.
nice, very nice.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mayor's report. No report. Okay, I have another letter I have to read. I have a couple more, but, I can read it, but I might miss a couple words and I don't wanna make a mistake. Dear Mayor Ed Snow of the Village Board, I am writing you today out of respect and concern regarding the appearance of our beautiful village. While the 4-H group and the Pride and Walton group are doing a jointed effort to clean and beautify our village, there seems to always be a dark cloud over what they have done. Don't get me wrong, what they are doing is a fantastic job. Their work efforts and compassion for the village is phenomenal. The cloud seems to be the constant lawn sale businesses disguised as antique stores on Delaware Street. Delaware Street is the hub of all travel in this village, whether passing through or coming in or out of Delaware Street, is utilized. The appearance of this hub is of my concern. Village residents are required to obtain a permit or register their lawn sales. These antique places in the hub of our village are allowed to clutter the sidewalks in front of their businesses with their lawn sale items on a daily basis. Last I knew, they didn't rent the sidewalk, they are only required to maintain it. People coming in and out of the village are stopped at red lights or behind traffic and have no choice but to look at the junk lining the streets. To be completely honest, it reminds me of the 1970s show Sanford and Son. None of the things on the street are of huge value, and it could potentially become hazardous to pedestrians trying to pogo stick around all the items on the sidewalk. At first, it was only the antique place in the old ILO's parking lot, which we all know was an eyesore. Now he has joined forces with the old Style Shop building next to the old bakery. It is beginning to look like the original place at ILO's. The place across the street, another antique store, used to be conservative with what was displayed outside. That is not the case anymore. They are also putting more and more junk on the sidewalks. I am not against anyone trying to make a living. A business is just that, trying to make it work and make money, as it takes skills and patience. I get that, but at what cost? Should the village have to endure such an eyesore? The work that the 4-H kids in the Pride and Walton group have done is being overshadowed or sometimes overlooked because of all the junk lining the streets. Much money has been spent replacing trees, flower planters, painting hydrants, painting old guide rails, replacing signs, repainting signs, removing garbage and overgrowth on the side of the road, not to mention sprucing up the windows of empty store buildings and cleaning Tom's Tire Barn. I am confident that the work will continue, however, would like it to be noticed fully rather than partial because of all the stuff on sidewalks. When I was a young girl, Walton had some sort of code that allowed business owners 1 week in the summer for sidewalk sales. This was perfect. Everyone usually participated, and it kept things neat and tidy on the street. Why is this not being enforced now? Does it still exist? I would like to request that if it doesn't, that another code be made. It is no different than the maintenance of lawn or sidewalks. Feel that they are taking advantage of the fact that there is a business and they should do whatever they want, right down to hanging their stuff on the state signage. I feel this is unfair to other businesses and unfair to village residents, and more importantly, unfair to the workmanship that the 4-H kids and the private group in Walton have given so graciously to this community. The village has endured many hardships. I have lived here my entire 49 years and have seen the economic times change drastically. Businesses are hard to keep here, and if we allow these places to continue this behavior by dumping half their store onto the street, then we will also be deterring new businesses as well. I would love nothing more than to see Walton return to the state it was 30 years ago. However, I don't believe that will happen, as big businesses are being outsourced or looking for a bigger community. So what is left is to make the town as beautiful and friendly as humanly possible for the visitors and residents that we do have. This is much work to be done. There is much work to be done, I understand, but with the creation of a few new rules, I believe it is possible. Walton can be beautiful as it once was. I have every confidence, but we need to have boundaries for those who take advantage. Thank you so much for reading this letter. It is my hope that the code can be instituted for beauty and the safety of us community. Sincerely, Yvonne Buchanan. I think I did that pretty good. While I'm doing this, I'm just gonna go to 6 and 7 at the same time. The 13th, regarding the 13th annual 4-H duck race. Cornell Cooperative Extension of Delaware County would like to request your permission to hold the 13th annual 4-H duck race on Saturday, July 11, 2015, in the village of Walton. We plan to hold the 4-H duck race in the third brook. Ducks will float from Ogden Street Bridge to Robinson Brothers Auction Barn. Volunteers will be in the brook to retrieve any stuck ducks along the way, and say that 5 times. And at the race conclusion, a certificate of insurance is enclosed from our insurance provider, P.W. Wood Agency in Ithaca, the insurance carrier for all the Cornell Cooperative Extensions in New York. Volunteers from throughout the county and 4-H clubs will be selling the adopted ducks. The to raise money to help support the Delaware County 4-H program. Please contact with any questions or concerns. Thank you for proposal, John H. Ham. So I guess the first thing would be to have a motion for that.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Does it say the time that starts at?
No.
At 12 o'clock usually, noontime.
Noontime. Okay, actually, this is to whom it may concern, Board of Trustees, I, Shelley Thompson, the leader, okay, of the Barnyard Sprouts, would like to ask permission to continue clean up and plant flowers in the flower box with the members of the Barnyard Sprouts. The flower box is located in the little park next to River Street Alliance Church and Delaware Bridge. The members are working on the flower box will be my leader, myself, Shelley Thompson, and leader Sharon Benson, and the rest of the group. They did this last year, I believe, and they did a really
Motion.
excellent job. I need a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I think I covered everything. We need to go into executive session for a while to discuss union contracts and negotiations. I want to thank everyone for coming. I need a motion, so I'm sorry.
I move that we go into executive session.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you everyone for coming, appreciate it.